Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I am your host, Evan Abrams, and I am joined by Brandon Anderson for some best bets for NFL Week 1. That's right, season finally here. We've gone through the offseason, the draft. Me and Brandon have literally been through a war, and it is just now week 1. But shortly before we start, I'm going to go through 3 trends, just certain things that I've been thinking about. They're in my article on the site, kind of leading into what Brandon's going to be discussing with his. So let me just start off the top here. So it's worth remembering that during the regular season last year, favorites dominated. From an ATS perspective, it was their most profitable from an ROI since 2017. Now, overall, favorites ended 2024 195 and 77, about 72% straight up. That was the third best season since 1980. Now, that was the money line from regular season favorites. It was a profitable in back-to-back years from an ROI perspective. The first time that has happened since 2003. So favorites won straight up. That's number one here. Now, number two, I kind of want to talk about this Buffalo and Baltimore line because there's an intriguing storyline. So Buffalo opened -1.5. Now Baltimore is -1.5. So Josh Allen was a home underdog in the playoffs to the Ravens last year. What did it do? Open -1.5, closed +1.5. Exactly what the spread has done currently. Now, Buffalo wins that game 27-25. Now, Josh's last home underdog in a regular season game, January 3rd, 2021, against the Dolphins. So, last week of the regular season with that one. Now, if Buffalo closes as a home underdog, Josh would be a home dog 3 times to Lamar Jackson, 8 times with every other quarterback, none more than once. Since the start of 2022, Josh has faced 24 QBs at home in 29 total games. He is 25-4 straight up, been favored in 28 of those games. He's been favored. Everyone else, that's the contrary. So that is exactly what's happened with Josh Allen. Now, third, I'm going to give you 2 week 1 trends. So underdogs is 6.5 points or more, 49-27 against the spread in week 1 since 2006. 19 seasons. They are under 500 ATS in just one of those 19 years. So a bunch of big dogs out there this weekend. Now, number two, this is basically just Philly on Thursday Night Football and Denver, which is an 8.5 point favorite against Tennessee. Favorites of 8+ points in week 1 haven't finished above 500 ATS in week 1 since 1996. So you take both games together, they'd have to go 2-0. If there was 3 games, they'd have to go 2-1. So these big favorites in week 1 have not come through. Brandon, I'll bring you in now. So 3 completely different things, and you got a lot of bets coming up. So kind of talk to me. What's up, man? How are you? Welcome to week 1.
Yeah, it's week 1. We made it. We got real football games. By the time you are listening to this, we will have seen Eagles Cowboys play. We'll already know whether we need a loss from the Broncos to get that last ATS spread to get it under 500. If it's 1-0 Philly, we got to like fading Denver in that spot. I will have a lot of week 1 trends when we get to our picks, some of those in your article as well. And we'll talk about that Buffalo Baltimore line move too. I think not just that folks are betting on Baltimore, but why is it? And it's the injury report. So we'll get back to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to get into everything. Brandon's got a lot of best bets. I'll give my opinions on each of them. But the NFL season is officially here. And get to the most out of the award-winning Action Network app, you'll want to be an Action Pro subscriber because only Pro subscribers get real-time pick alerts from experts. Sean Kerner, Joe Gallant, myself, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections, powered by Kerner and our predictive analytics team. To celebrate football's return, we got a special offer for you. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro, get $20 off the annual price with the promo code POD20, POD20. So do not miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro. Use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. Okay, Brandon, it is time to get started. NFL Week 1 bets. Now, if you want to tail some of these bets, look for the quick slip link in the podcast and video description, or go to actionnetwork.com/bet now, BETNOW, bet now. All the bets will be listed there. Brandon, we are going to start off in the NFC East. What you got for me?
We are first pick of the year. How could it be anything but the New York Football Giants plus 6.5 at the Commanders? Look, the history of this rivalry is a lot closer than you'd think, including last year as good as Washington was, they won the games, but by 5 points and 3 points against the Giants. They were close, and they've only won 4 of the last 13 games against the Giants. That includes those 2 wins and a 1 point win. So if you put it that way, Washington's only covered a 6.5 point spread one time the last 13 games against the Giants. I'm honestly not positive either team is that great. Like we know about the Giants, but Washington, Jane Daniels, awesome. We're all excited, but we know about sophomore slumps and how they can come back to earth. Beyond him, the linebackers are pretty good. I don't know. That might be kind of it. There's not a lot of other strength. The Giants' one strength is their defensive front. We know that with Dexter Lawrence, with Abdul Carter, and that front 7 pass rush. I think that's key in this game with the Commanders breaking in 2 new tackles. Larry Tunsil's new on the blind side. Josh Connerly, the rookie, is starting on the other side at tackle. No Sam Cosmi yet. This line is kind of in flux. And early in the season, betting on lines that have been the same guys coming back, playing together as a unit, or fading the ones that are not can be a big edge. I think if you look, Washington's offense is their better unit. The Giants' defense is their better unit. And I think that that's a relatively even matchup. Washington's defense is bad. Giants' offense is bad. I'm not sure this should be so far apart, certainly a full touchdown apart. And all that was before I checked Bet Labs and got into the trends. Evan, Trends Bonanza. It's a 13-0 Trends shutout in my Bet Lab system for the Giants. Let me give you some week 1 and a few others. Some of my favorites that stood out. Week 1, road underdogs that missed the playoffs last year since 2011. 61, 36, and 2 against the spread. 63% for the Giants. Week 1, division underdogs. We know that one. That's going to come up a lot. Since 2015, 66%. They're covering 2/3 of the time, division underdogs. How about week 1, teams that missed the playoffs versus teams that made the playoffs? In the division, listen to this one. 41, 15, and 1 against the spread. 73%. That's almost 3/4 of the time. All those are week 1 trends. Beyond that, Russell Wilson, new Giants quarterback, 65% cover rate as an underdog for his career, 71% in the division. Dan Quinn is the worst coach, profitable active coach at under 40% cover rate as a favorite. It just trends every direction in the Giants' favor. +6 at most books. I'm fine with that. ESPN Bet does have a 6.5, so I'll of course grab that 0.5 point there. And yeah, maybe a little nibble on the +225 money line. This feels like a close game and one of those that could really wreck some survivor pools in week 1. I like the Giants here.
Yeah, market agrees with you. Line was like 7 for most of the summer, down to 6. Like I said, 6.5. I think that's a key one. So if you want to get this bet in, I would look for the 6.5. It is coming down. I even probably seen closing under 6. So I think at 6.5, you're getting some good value with the Giants. All right, your second bet. It's a fun afternoon game. I'll give it to you. It's a Texans Rams. What are you doing there?
I'm going to go Texans here, but I'm going to play the first half line, +2.5, rather than the full game. We'll get into that why. We've talked a lot about the Rams. I'm pretty worried about this team, especially early in the season. So we faded them last year. It looked great early. They started 1-4, and then they got hot late. But this is a team that's had some slow starts lately. And now Matt Stafford, no preseason games, not even those scrimmage times. He's just not had much time to practice yet. And overlooked because of that, Alaric Jackson, the left tackle, is out. You do not want your left tackle out against this defensive front. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, they're going to be all over Matt Stafford. And Stafford's play has been very dependent on his line play over the years. So that's a rough setup. Texans are my number 1 defense. The Rams offense is so much under McVay about precision and rhythm and repetition. They haven't had any. They haven't had a chance to get this together with no left tackle, no quarterback practicing. I think if you look at the matchup, Texans defense, they're easily the best unit on the field. Rams defense is the worst. I don't honestly know about the offenses given the injuries, given what we don't know about Nick Caley, the new coordinator in Houston. The Rams, I think, have some weak spots. I think Nico Collins can feast in this game, and they might be able to get beat over the middle at linebacker. So I like the Texans here. Why first half? Offensive line worries. They go both ways. Texans are the worst line in the league, and the Rams defensive front pretty good. So I don't necessarily love that and want a huge piece of the whole game. And then Stafford, the rust from a guy that didn't play in the preseason. Raheem Palmer has a stat, our old colleague here. Last 2 seasons, quarterbacks that did not play in the preseason, 3-12 ATS in just the first half. It's that early rust, right? Maybe you settle in later, but right out of the gates, 3-12 the first half. And then don't forget a stat that's probably not relevant anymore, but just in case, last season, Texans 13-4 in the first half ATS, 4-13 in the second half. I don't think that's probably a thing for this year, but just in case it is, let's get our first half and get out of there. So Texans first half plus 2.5. Probably I'll end up doing like a money line plus 125. If you want to do the halftime, full-time money line, I do like Texans to win here. I think it's kind of a lucky spot getting this Rams team with Stafford, no preseason. But first half play plus 2.5 is the play.
Yeah, with the line already coming down to it looks 2.5 for the full game, 2.5 for the first half. Also seems very tasty. I put it in my article, but first half, second half, even for Stroud, when you look at splits
Yeah.
last year, about 16 points different in terms of passer rating. So I see it as well. All right, this is probably my favorite one, favorite game of the week. Packers, Lions. Which side do you like? Are you with me?
Yeah, that Sunday afternoon slate is
Yeah,
really
it's
good.
wild.
We loaded up on all the leftovers in the early part, and then it's just loaded in the afternoon. Packers Lions, big one. Give me the Packers. Minus 1.5 at ESPN Bet if you've got it. Anywhere in the market, 1.5, 2, 2.5. As long as we're below 3, I'm going to feel really good here. To me, this line is a misread on what these teams are. I think this is acting like it's last year. And last year, I think that these teams were mostly equal. Now they had 15 wins for the Lions, 11 for the Packers, but look at the metrics. DVOA, offense, third Detroit, fourth Green Bay, fifth and seventh on defense. Like they're about equal. The Lions last year were a little bit better at everything. And I know you're gonna hear the stat this week about, well, Detroit has dominated Matt LaFleur lately. They've won 6 of the last 7. Hardly dominant. 5 of those 7 are one-score games. These are close games. Detroit's winning. That matters. The Packers got to win to cover minus 1.5. I don't know if you know how that works. We need the win here, but I don't think this is this huge dominant rivalry. And to me, this is forget about what was, focus on what is. Lions offense. We've talked so much about it. Ben Johnson is gone. The offensive line loses Ragnow and Zeitler. We got Jared Goff outdoors in what looks like kind of a windy game. We got Jared Goff, no preseason, so that also fits that first half trend if you want just the first half Packers. Lions defense, not healthy yet on the line. Hutchinson still getting back. Ali McNeil is out. Their tackles are missing. Packers defense, they just added Micah Parsons. They're not what they were last year. And importantly, we don't know how they're going to deploy Micah Parsons, which means the Lions can't even prep for that. We don't know what he's going to look like in the system. And I think not having that tape is a really big swing. So last year, I think the Lions were a little better at everything. This year, I think the Packers are. I think the Packers are just slightly the better team. It's a bet on continuity. The Lions lose in the trenches. They lose both of their play callers. So this is a debut both ways here. And week 1, road dogs of 6 or less that made last year's playoffs. So that's Detroit. You made the playoffs. We anchor to that. We think you're really good. So if you're an underdog anyway, that should give us a warning sign. Those teams are 17, 32, and 3 in week 1. 35% cover rate. Give me the Packers minus 1.5 or anything under 3 if you got it. And I think if you want Packers futures, this is your chance in the division. Because once they beat the Lions here, you lose your shot. We're on Bears Island, but the Packers are my favorite in the division. It's plus 180. Lost a little value with the Parsons deal, but you're never getting it back if they win this game. So give me the Packers minus 1.5. I think they take care of the Lions here.
Yeah, you mentioned the wind looks stronger in the first half. So, maybe Green Bay first half is something else you want to look at. And the line movement, I mean, this opened Detroit minus 1.5 when the line opened over the summer. Now you have the 1.5, it's up to 2.5 at some spots. So definitely try to shop for the best number there. All right. Sunday night football. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, after the afternoon slate we sit back and have like 15 minutes to get in bets for Ravens Bills. So what is your best bet for that game?
I'm going to play the Ravens. I'm going to play the first half money line. So it's minus 105 at ESPN Bet. We'll talk about exactly why I'm playing that specific bet. This is about putting my money where my mouth is. I've been talking big talk about the Ravens and all the podcasts. We did how many rankings podcasts? The Ravens are top 7. quarterback, skill position, offensive line, offense, defense, special teams, coaching, literally everything. They rank top 7. And I have the Bills slightly down from where they were last year. I have the Ravens lapping the field. So if I'm getting basically a coin flip odds here, I got to be taking Baltimore, right? So we know this game. We've seen this matchup. We just saw it. Baltimore has been seeing in their nightmares all offseason. They lost by 2. Mark Jackson fumbles twice in the first half. Mark Andrews has the drop at the end. Like Schefter's tweeting about Mark Andrews' drop. What happened in the game was the Ravens outgained by 143 yards. And they frankly were the better team and probably should have won. Now they didn't. You got to win the game. See you in January. But don't forget, they played earlier last season and the Ravens crushed them 35-10. They had almost 200 yards more in that game. And consistently, they are running all over Buffalo. They had 271 rushing yards on 34 attempts in that game. And I think this Todd Monken offense can clean up against Sean McDermott's defense. That defense has not been great against the top quarterbacks and offenses in the league, and there's no one better at that right now than Baltimore. Now, back to the thing you brought up at the beginning. Why the line flip? I think it's the injuries. Buffalo, at cornerback, Christian Benford and Tre'Davious White, the 2 starting corners, both groin injury right now. We'll see if they play. We'll see if they finish. They're already missing Maxwell Hairston, the rookie first-round pick on IR at corner. So that's your top 3 corners missing against the league's #1 passing attack last year. Or not necessarily missing, but limited. By the way, what's with the groin injuries in Buffalo? Keon Coleman pops up on the report this week. Tyler Bass, the kicker, both groin injuries there. Shakir is already coming back. Not a groin injury, thankfully, but just lots of injuries here. Receivers, cornerback, cluster injuries. Not something I like. I don't love Isaiah Likely and Patrick Ricard missing for the Ravens. That's a tight end and a fullback. It shouldn't mean much, but it's the Ravens. Those positions matter a lot for this team. So here's where I'm going to get to the first half. Don't love that about Baltimore. Don't love Josh Allen's second half splits. 66% ATS for his career in the second half, but we know the Lamar Jackson trend. First half Lamar, 58, 34, and 2, 63% ATS. So I don't really want to leave a back door open for something funky. And then here's the line. If you play first half spread, I'm seeing right now a minus 0.5 at plus 105. We're playing money line instead of minus 105. So let me help you out. Just a little quick lesson here. We're playing 10 cents on the dollar because if we're tied at the half, in the bet we're taking with the money line, we push. We get our money back. If you play the minus half a point, you lose that bet. 10 cents is not a big swing. I'm not normally the guy to pay extra. We know this. I like the long shots, but at 10 cents, give me the tie. The Bills are pretty good, but I like the Ravens here. First half money line. And if the Ravens win this one, this might be your last chance to get that Lamar Jackson MVP ticket in at plus 550.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Lamar's crazy numbers in the first half with John Harbaugh over the years also comes into play. Josh, you mentioned good in the second half. When you look at our Bet Labs data, when you talk about tickets on this game, right now about 33% of tickets on Buffalo, which would be about second fewest for Josh Allen since 2019. So at this rate, I mean, Josh Allen, one of the more backed quarterbacks week to week by bettors when you look back at our software, and not in week 1, which is fascinating, especially at home. All right. So we're going to go from Texans and, a bunch of these great games, and now you're going to make everyone hear about Steelers Jets. So I assume it's not the over.
It is not the over. We're going under on a Steelers game. Who could have thunk it? I'm kind of interested in this game, right? We get Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields, like the double revenge game. They swap teams, and now it's a delicious narrative game. How are these teams going to score, right? Aaron Rodgers, no preseason. So there's another one of those rust factors. And it's not just no preseason, new team. We don't know what it looks like with Arthur Smith. We don't know if he's got a connection with DK Metcalf. We don't know how it looks with that new line in Pittsburgh. A lot of young guys there. Just no proof of concept, and the Jets defense is pretty talented. We think they probably bounce back a little bit. So I'm not sure Pittsburgh's going to really just put up a huge number here. And then you got the Jets. You lose, poor Jets. Elijah Vera-Tucker, like 2 days before the season, out for the season.
Terrible.
Their best offensive lineman. Now you're missing your best lineman. Was a pretty young line, I think already youngest in the league, against the Steelers. This incredible front seven, all the pass rush. We don't really know what the Jets offense will be under Tanner Engstrand. This whole coaching staff is new. Will they run a lot? Can they run on Pittsburgh? Maybe. I don't really mind that either. Run the clock. Just get this game off of my screen, run it straight out, hit the under. Justin Fields against Pittsburgh, the defense that practiced against him all last season, so they know the stuff that he does. I just don't see how either team's supposed to score here. This is already the lowest total on the board and dropping 39.5 at open, 38.5 now. Usually those lines cannot go low enough when it starts to go that way. And we don't really lose much at 39. As long as it's above 37, that's a bit of a key. Should be fine. And we know we love the stat. Mike Tomlin, road unders in the first 10 games of the season, 65% to the under. Mike Tomlin for his career. And just since 2014, so about the last decade, 40 and 11 to the under. 78% hit rate. That is an ungodly stat. You almost have to back that blind with that much data. They're going under by 5 points a game. I looked back last year, week 1. I played one total on the podcast. Guess what it was? Mike Tomlin rode under. We're back, baby. Back on the horse. Sometimes the obvious pick is the good one, too. So Steelers, Jets, under 38.5. Maybe we'll do the mine shaft, maybe like an under 34.5 or something. Keep an eye on the app for that. Make sure you get Action Pro. You'll see those if they come out. And a little warning sign here. Doesn't this just feel like that game in week 1 that the Steelers blow and that Aaron Rodgers blow and everyone has to talk about it all week? If it goes under, if there's only like 30 points all game and it comes down to a field goal or something, I don't know. I may have to look at like an under and a Jets money line parlay. If it's low and close, that puts some value on the dog. I think the Jets are live here.
Yeah, Jets 3-0. I mean, we have a ticket on lowest points scored this year, so let's at least start with
Love
that. I looked up one thing while you were talking, so this is just fun though. Totals in week 1, 38.5 or lower, only happened 4 times since 2014, all 4 games under. So at least that starts well for you there. All right, props, escalators, and long shots. So we've got the best bets out of the way. Now you can kind of get into some of the props and some of these other things. So we're going to start with Bengals Browns. Who do you like in that game?
Love David Njoku here. This is a receiving escalator. I got 4 levels for you. So this is my top prop and escalator on the board in week 1. Joe Burrow has not been great against the Browns. He's not been great early in these first couple of games. We know all that. This is probably our biggest weather game of the weekend. 15-mile-an-hour winds, it looks like. That helps, I think, with this bet on Njoku because you get some shorter passes maybe. This is about Joe Flacco. I think Flacco gives the Browns pass catchers a chance against a pretty awful Bengals defense who last year allowed the most points to opposing fantasy tight ends. Here's the stat line. If you were just tight end every game against the Bengals, you put up 111 catches for 1,100 yards and 10 scores. You are a fantasy god if you just played the Bengals every week as a tight end. 10 of those tight ends at 55 yards or more, including David Njoku. 2 of his 3 best games last year were against the Bengals. 8 for 66, 10 for 76. High volume, plenty of yards. And we already know he's got chemistry with Flacco. We saw this in 2023. They had 5 games, and he was a monster. In 5 games, 4 touchdowns, 30 catches for 390 yards, 9 targets a game, at least 6 catches, all but 1, 90 yards or more over half of those games. So I want yards, I want receptions, I want the whole thing with David Njoku. Over 48.5 receiving yards, that's the bottom rung. And then we'll go 70 yards or more plus 250 at Bet365. And then I'm kind of switching volume to receptions, get some short passes in here. 8 catches plus 525, 10 catches, 15-1 at Bet365. Top of the ladder. Remember, he did that against the Bengals last year. So keep an eye on, again, Action Pro. Watch in the app if you were wondering about unit sizing on all these escalators. But Njoku from 48.5 yards to 70 and 8 and 10 catches all the way up. Let's go.
As just an honest bystander, which is what I am on this podcast at the moment. You have any like worry about Fannin out there, or do you just assume that Njoku is going to get the majority, especially week 1, and they're going to kind of work him in a little bit?
Yeah, I think more the latter. I think we kind of assume Njoku and the chemistry for now, and you get the rookie. I know it's a hot name and everyone's excited, but maybe it ends up being a little bit more of a split. I think for now, I kind of can assume maybe that's buying a slight value on the numbers and keeping these numbers down a bit as well. So, it's tough early in week 1. You never know how some of these things go. Fannon's the hot name, but I think I'll have to see it, and he I may have to pay him off.
All right, time for your favorite team in the NFL. We are going to be talking the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. What is your prop?
Yeah, we know how much I'm in on the Niners. I know your skepticism on the Niners, and I'm actually going to join Skeptical Island for 1 week here. I don't think this is a great spot for San Fran. Injuries at receiver in the trenches, first Robert Saleh game, tough game in Seattle. Specifically, I think Mike McDonald was brought into this division because his defense is great against Shanahan and McVay offenses. And specifically this matchup, I don't love Seattle's run game against the San Fran run defense for the Niners. So I'm going to play Kenneth Walker prop. I'm going to play over 59.5 rushing yards. Niners defense last year, pretty good still, despite all the injuries against the pass. Bottom 10 against the run. Really bad defensive tackles. It's a real concern for me, 49ers backer. Niners were fifth worst at fantasy running back points last year. They allowed 10 running backs to hit 70 yards rushing. They allowed the most rushing touchdowns running backs too with 18. And we saw in the preseason just a little bit, Clint Kubiak, that run game looked pretty good. He's got that young offensive line looking much better than where I put them, 30th in the league. So if they actually come out running, I think Walker should look good. He had a touchdown both games against the Niners last year. So give me over 59.5 rushing yards, and then a little slight escalator, 59.5 plus a touchdown at plus 323 at FanDuel.
Yeah, coming off the injury last year, I mean, this might be, even dealing with some of the soreness from it now, still pretty healthy going into week one, pretty fresh, understandable, even coming off the injury. So I kind of like this, at least off the bat, kind of a shorter number when you consider his talent. Okay, next game, we're going to be rolling to Brazil for this one. So Chargers, Chiefs, what's the bet here?
Yeah, I just want something for the Friday night game, right? This will come out Friday, so it's officially the first game we can bet on the podcast. We need something. Give me Lad McConkey. We bet him on season-long props. We're just doing the same thing here. Over 70.5 receiving yards. This should be a fun game. Chiefs have won 7 in a row against the Chargers, but all but one of those by 7 points or less. Wins by 1, 2, 3, 3, and in overtime. So I think we get a close game. I think McConkey should have a big game. Chiefs were bottom 10 against wide receiver 1 last year. The last 11 weeks they played, wide receiver 1 had at least 48 yards every single one of those games, at least 70 yards in over half of those. Average 72, so that's right about this number. But McConkey is not an average sort of guy. He was on fire to end the season. He had 83 yards or more, 6 of the last 7 games. That was like almost a 1,600-yard pace over that stretch. So get those season-long props in as well. We saw in Brazil last year, like an ice rink, kind of led us some big plays. I don't mind that on McConkey as well if he gets, break a long one at some point. No escalators here, just a simple prop. Over 70.5 receiving yards, Lad McConkey.
Yeah, I think the terrain's the biggest question. Like, no one has any idea what the field's going to be like and how everything of that nature is going to go. So I have no issue with the slipping CB, and McConkey's going to get looked at a ton in this game. So I could see that happening very quickly. All right, I love this next bet because I just love the concept behind this bet. One of the biggest spreads on the board this week, Tennessee and Denver. What are you doing in the game?
I'm taking a shot. I'm going to go out a
I
hero.
love
Give
it.
me the Titans money line. Plus 350. Just a nibble. Just a nibble. This is a crazy bet. The Broncos, the first 2 weeks at home per Anthony DeBunda, our old colleague, 56-15. You do not want to bet against this team in Denver, especially with the rookie #1 quarterback, Cam Ward, road debut against this attacking defense. You had the stats in your article. Rookie week 1 starter, 8-21 straight up on the road. #1 quarterbacks making their debut, 5-22-1 straight up. Caleb Williams won last year, first time since not Derek Carr, David Carr in 2002. Ridiculous numbers. Never bet in this spot on Tennessee. It makes no sense. That's why we're doing it. All the trends, just like a whole slew of underdog trends on Tennessee. This early in the season, a team being this big of a favorite should be a warning sign. We just shouldn't be this confident in almost any team yet. We talked a lot about the Titans, improvement on the line, at special teams, and frankly at quarterback with Cam Ward against Will Levis, even in the opener here. You had the stat in your article, Bo Nix unbeaten, 8-0 ATS and straight up as a favorite. That sounds like a stat dying to be broken. Let's get it out of here. Hero play, Titans money line, plus 350.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to cover like the principle of the bet with the 8.5 while it's still out there because eight's become more key over the eight. Like if Tennessee's going to be in the game, that's a pretty decent number to be attached to going into it. All right, your last bet here before we get into a look ahead for week two because you're Brandon Anderson. How could we not? Dolphins, Colts. Can't believe this is even in there. So you've got to bet. We got to make it. Let's do it.
I can't believe it too. This was my first cross off of the season where I was like, I don't know anything about either of these teams. This is a coin flip line. I don't know what I think about either of these teams. Like, I didn't really bet much futures on them. The vibes are terrible both ways. Last year, offense and defense by DVOA, both teams anywhere from 19th to 22nd. Like, every unit is just like not average, definitely not good, not terrible. Just who cares? Who cares about these teams? Why do we care about the team? Why are we betting them? Why am I wearing my Dolphins shirt? It's the only time I'll probably be able to wear it all season. That's why. So, Colts in week one, for some reason that makes no sense to me, are terrible. The Colts are never good in week one. Last year, they covered by 1 point. It's the first time they covered in a decade. They don't show up in week one, but more importantly, and here's the angle, when Miami does win, it's not close. What if the Colts just aren't good? What if the Dolphins aren't good? They might not be. Then we're going to lose. But when Miami plays well, and right now they're healthy. Right now, Tua and Tyreek and Achane and those guys are supposed to go out there. Last 2 years with Tua, 18 wins, 11 of those 18 are by at least a touchdown. 8 of those 11 are by 14 plus points. So when Miami wins, it's usually not close. We know they roll up the points. We know from last season's, Mike McDaniel usually has kind of a surprise in week one, a little twist, something new he's trying out. On Indy, Lou Anarumo did not do well in Bengals last year with his defense, and now it's a new system. I don't want to debut a new system against whatever Mike McDaniel's doing out there, and we don't know what's on tape. So could this get ugly for Indy? If it does, Finn's secondary is beatable, but I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy to go get that. I don't want Daniel Jones script from behind. So, alternate plays on Miami. -6.5, plus 240 at BetMGM, -13.5, plus 560 at FanDuel. And specifically, I'm not taking the median outcome. I'm not taking just the Dolphins. I'm not taking just the money line. I don't want any part of that. If they do win, I think they win by a bunch. So I'm only taking the alts here, and it might be the only time I care about the Dolphins all season.
Yeah, we should hope so. I don't know how many times I can take it, especially after the conversations we've had with them and all these other podcasts. I feel like one thing you could do with the Dolphins, maybe some sort of touchdown SGP with these alts, like if you want to have a good time, something like Malik Washington, or like if they're going to do this,
Yeah.
I think they're going to find one of those people in the end zone and say it's not Tyreek because maybe, he's just a decoy out there and the chemistry's bad. I would look Waller, like there's probably an opportunity with some inflated numbers. So I like that direction. Daniel Jones a favorite. How could that happen?
What are you
All
doing?
right. Look ahead to week two. So I love this one just because I love the team, and I think people can already get an idea that you're not so hot on the team you're going against here because you're fading them in week one as well. So what do you like in week two?
Yeah, so we'll do one look ahead to close out the pod each week here. So remember, the goal of the look ahead is not just to grab the team that I like, but the goal is to get ahead of this weekend's games, get
Yeah.
the line now that we can't get later. So we're going to go to the very next game after week one, Thursday night, Green Bay at home against Washington. And if I tell you those two teams, you already know which one we're betting. Give me the Packers -2.5, and that is important at either Caesars or Bet365. We want to get it under the key number. I don't think it's going to be there after this weekend. Like you said, Evan, we're betting Packers against the Lions. If the Packers beat the Lions, that's going to matter. And if the Commanders struggle against the Giants or even lose, we're fading them with New York, then that's going to go that direction as well. One of these teams is third in my power ranks. The other one for me is fringe bottom 10. Like this is a gulf in class between these teams. I think, again, kind of a misread on where these teams are at. And frankly, Packers -2.5, some books right now against the Lions. How are the Commanders and Lions getting the same line? I think what happened is the Parsons trade pushed the line a little bit down, but only for one game. We haven't adjusted yet later. Guess what? Micah Parsons had 4.5 sacks against the Commanders last year in the 2 games. So he's going to probably enjoy playing Jane Daniels. Short week early in the season. Give me Matt LaFleur against Dan Quinn. That's a big advantage. Matt LaFleur, first 3 games of the season, 12-3 against the spread. No good against Dan Campbell because he's that good too. But in week 2, home, short week, I love the Packers here. -2.5. Grab that below the key number. It's going to be past it on the wrong side, I think, if you wait. So that's the look ahead. Packers -2.5 on Sunday or on Thursday night against Washington.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, run, don't walk, because I think that number is going the other direction. So I do think when you're talking about a look ahead line, that is clearly what this is, because you probably will get 3.5 and 2.5 by the time you turn around next week. All right. Best bets week 1 in the books, Brandon. This was fantastic. I can't wait to do this every single week leading up throughout the season. That has been it for the Action Network podcast, week 1 episode. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app to see more from all of our Action Network contributors. Plus, you can track your own picks while you're in there. Sign up for Action Pro for immediate notifications every time one of our action experts tracks a pick. Go to actionnetwork.com/pro. Use the promo code POD20, POD20 for $20 off a year of Action Pro. Also, check out the Action Network Discord server to chop it up with experts and fellow gamblers during these games. I am looking right now. There are tons of bets, people talking everything about Thursday and Friday night football. So definitely get in there and check it out with Kerner and Raybon. There is a link to join in the description of this podcast. And again, if you want to tail some of these bets we gave out today, make sure to look for the quick slip link in the podcast and video description, or go to actionnetwork.com/betnow, BETNOW, bet now. It's got all of the bets listed there with quick slip links. Super easy to tail all these bets. We will be back Sunday night for our NFL recap show. That'll be live on Action Network's YouTube page shortly after Bills Ravens. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the slate. Good luck with all your bets this weekend. Bon chance.